Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video thumbs up. Taylor Hayes has always been a lady of fire and resilience in the glittering yet treacherous world of Los Angeles fashion and family empires, where love triangles twisted like the intricate designs on Forrester Creations' most recent catwalk. Taylor, a prominent psychiatrist whose heart had been crushed more times than she cared to count, was dragged into an unforeseen romance that would eventually cement her fate. It all started innocently enough, or as innocently as anything could in the complex lives of the Forrester, Logan, and Sharp families. Deacon Sharp, the repentant bad guy with a checkered past, was married to the unstable Sheila Carter, whose background of violence and obsession cast a perpetual shadow over everyone she touched. Deacon and Taylor's relationship blossomed during a sensitive time. Taylor, still hurting from her on-again, off-again relationship with Ridge Forrester, found solace in unexpected places. Deacon, who was battling with the instability of his marriage to Sheila, discovered in Taylor a kindred spirit, someone who understood repentance, grief, and the need for something meaningful in the midst of chaos. Their chats began as therapy sessions with blurred boundaries, progressing to stolen looks and late-night admissions. Before long, the attraction was undeniable. They had quiet dinners away from prying eyes, moments when Deacon's rugged edges softened under Taylor's caring gaze, and Taylor allowed herself to dream of a future free of the Forrester legacy. But secrets in Los Angeles seldom remained hidden for long. Whispers reached Taylor's fiercely protective daughter, Steffi Forrester, who had always regarded Deacon with distrust. Steffi told her mother several times, "He's trouble, Mom." And Sheila? She's a monster waiting to strike. Taylor dismissed it at first, saying that her love for Deacon were genuine and that Sheila's grip on him was slipping. Deacon, for his part, began to distance himself from Sheila, their disagreements becoming more intense as he revealed his divided heart. Sheila, with her trademark wild gaze and unwavering possessiveness, detected the shift. She had rebuilt her life with Deacon, convinced herself that this time, love could help her overcome her difficulties. The treachery struck deep, lighting the flame on a powder keg of resentment. As the weeks and months passed, Deacon and Taylor became more confident. They went public with their romance, sending shockwaves across the Forrester mansion and beyond. Ridge, ever the complicated ex, responded with jealousy and concern, while Brooke Logan observed with her typical knowing smile, concealing her own complex emotions. Hope, Deacon's daughter, attempted to mediate, torn between devotion to her father and the familial feuds that shaped her life. But the actual storm raged in Sheila's mind. She hid in the shadows, preparing her revenge with the precise care of someone who had evaded death and imprisonment more times than anybody could count. Sheila's feelings for Deacon had always been close to obsession, and losing him to Taylor, the gorgeous, brilliant doctor who represented everything Sheila could never be, pushed her over the edge. The tension rose one fateful evening at Deacon's restaurant, Illinois Giardino, which had seen its fair share of heated clashes. Taylor had come to meet Deacon after hours, with simple plans, a private dinner to discuss their future, possibly even leaving Los Angeles for a fresh start. Deacon poured wine, his hand resting on hers as he talked about creating something enduring. "You've given me hope, Taylor. Real hope. Sheila and I, that's over. I choose you." Taylor's eyes sparkled with passion, her typically guarded exterior shattering to reveal the woman who had battled cancer, lost lovers, and been betrayed by family. She leaned in, their kiss carrying the promise of new beginnings. Sheila had been keeping an eye on them without their knowledge. She'd been following Deacon for days, her mind spinning with thoughts of betrayal. Sheila came into the restaurant, armed with a revolver she had obtained through her murky connections, just as the couple was having an intimate moment. Her venomous and pain-filled words resonated around the empty dining room. "You think you can just throw me away like yesterday's trash? After everything I've done for you, Deacon? And you, Taylor. Always the perfect one, stealing what isn't yours." Deacon rushed forward, instinctively sheltering Taylor as Sheila raised her firearm. "Sheila, don't do this. This is between us. Let Taylor go." But Sheila's eyes were clouded with wrath, her finger tightening on the trigger. She fired once, the shot echoing like thunder. Deacon rushed, but Taylor responded with a mother's instinct and a lover's desperation in that short second of panic. She had noticed the gleam in Sheila's eyes and knew the unbridled resolve that had taken lives before. Taylor pushed Deacon aside with unexpected vigor, throwing herself into the line of the gunshot. The impact was immediate and catastrophic. Taylor collapsed to the floor, blood spilling across her chest like a terrible rose. Deacon's scream cut through the air as he dropped to his knees beside her. Taylor. No, God, no. He placed his hands into the cut, his fingers drenched in her blood, whispering wild vows of love and denial. Sheila stood motionless for a time, the rifle slipping from her grip as reality smashed down. This was not the vengeance she had imagined. In her sick mind, she intended to remove the rival, not watch Deacon's world crumble in real time. Deacon held Taylor's head, her eyes flickering wide as she gulped for air. Deacon, I couldn't let her hurt you. You're worth it. Her voice was shaky, a far cry from the strong, confident psychiatrist who had counseled so many people at their darkest times. In those final moments, memories flooded her mind. Her children, Steffi and Thomas, the grandchildren she treasured, and the difficult dance with Ridge that defined so much of her life. But in this moment, her heart belonged to the guy she had chosen to save. Deacon's tears poured on her face as he implored her to hold on. Taylor, stay with me. Help is on the way. You can't leave me now. Not like this. Paramedics arrived in a whirl of sirens and flashing lights, but the damage was too severe. The bullet had damaged crucial places, and despite frantic efforts at the hospital, Taylor Hayes vanished in the sterile confines of the emergency room. Doctors labored valiantly, but her body, already ravaged from previous illnesses, was unable to withstand the assault. Deacon walked the waiting room, his clothes smeared with her blood, repeating the scenario repeatedly. Why didn't he protect her? Why had he let their love put her in harm's way? News of the incident traveled quickly throughout Los Angeles. Steffi was the first to arrive at the hospital, her face pale with shock that quickly turned to despair. Mom? No. This can't be happening. She slumped into Deacon's arms, their shared anguish forming an odd relationship in the midst of tragedy. Ridge followed shortly after, his normally stoic demeanor shattering as he realized the lady he had loved and lost several times was no longer alive. Brooke provided quiet support while Hope reflected on her father's role in the circumstances leading up to the tragedy. The Forrester family, no strangers to death, had gathered in grief, but this felt different, deeper, more senseless. Sheila was arrested on the spot, her typical defiance replaced by empty sadness. In the police questioning room, she murmured about treachery and love, but the gravity of her actions became clear. Deacon paid her a visit once, his eyes flaming with accusations. You took her from me. From all of us. Was it worth it? Sheila's voice was shattered, tears flowing down her cheeks as she understood the reality. Her acts had not restored Deacon. Rather, they had shattered any hope of redemption she may have had. In the days that followed, Los Angeles felt heavy. Taylor's funeral was a moving occasion, held in a beachside chapel overlooking the Pacific, a setting that reflected her love of beauty and peace. Flowers decorated every surface, including lilies and roses in delicate hues, representing the grace she had bestowed on all around her. Steffi delivered a eulogy that captured her mother's strength. Taylor Hayes was a fighter, a healer, and, in the end, a hero. She saved the man she loved, even at the cost of her own life. Deacon stood silently, his shoulders slumped, guilt etching lines into his face that no amount of time could erase. He'd lived, but at what cost? Taylor's sacrifice tormented him, serving as a continual reminder of the fragile nature of love. As the service ended, Deacon stayed by the casket, whispering his final words. You saved me, Taylor. Now I have to live for both of us. I'll make sure Sheila pays, and I'll honor what we had. The wind carried his words out to sea, as if the world itself bore witness. However, mourning did not cease with the funeral. Steffi, devastated by the loss, immersed herself into her work at Forrester Creations, converting her grief into strong drive. She faced Deacon frequently, and their interactions were a combination of blame and understanding. "She loved you enough to die for you," Steffi exclaimed one evening, her voice shaking. "Don't waste that." Deacon nodded, promising to improve and become the man Taylor saw himself as. However, the nights proved to be the most difficult. Alone in his flat, he replayed the incident, the gunshot echoing continuously. Therapy sessions, ironically, the kind Taylor may have led, became his lifeline, allowing him to disentangle the layers of sorrow and love. The rippling effects affected everyone. Taylor's son, Thomas Forrester, returned from his travels, his sadness manifested as silent hatred toward Sheila and covert bitterness toward Deacon for putting his mother in jeopardy. Ridge and Brooke's chemistry evolved once more, with Taylor's absence pushing them to face their own tangled history. Hope found herself mediating family conflicts, her relationship with Deacon strained as she pondered how his decisions had resulted in such sorrow. Sheila's trial loomed enormous, a media spectacle that exposed her entire criminal history. Witnesses testified about her fixation, as well as her history of shootings and manipulations. Deacon took the stand, his testimony fresh and unwavering. "Taylor died saving me from the woman I once thought I could change." Sheila's jealousy didn't just end one life, it shattered many. The courtroom grew silent as the weight of his words hung heavily. Sheila, for the first time in years, appeared truly broken, her cries for forgiveness falling on deaf ears. The verdict was swift, life in jail, with no chance of parole. As she was led away, she cast one final look at Deacon, a mute apology in her eyes that could never heal the damage. In the aftermath, Deacon devoted himself to rebuilding. He expanded Il Giardino, transforming it into an homage, complete with a modest memorial space devoted to Taylor, a photo of her smiling and a plaque with words of love and sadness. He started working at a local crisis center, inspired by Taylor's psychiatric work, to assist others deal with their own troubles. Steffi gradually began to see Deacon as a survivor carrying the same load, rather than the source of her misery. Their odd connection became stronger as they exchanged memories of Taylor's laughter, knowledge, and unflinching heart. Months passed and Los Angeles resumed its normal course of events. Fashion shows proceeded at Forrester, new loves bloomed and waned, but Taylor's absence left an indelible emptiness. Deacon paid frequent visits to her grave, giving her fresh flowers and keeping her up to date on the world she left behind. Steffi's doing well, stronger than ever. "The kids are growing up so fast. I miss you every day." In quiet moments, he pondered alternate paths. What if they had fled sooner, escaping Sheila's clutches? But regret served no one, and Taylor's dying deed was one of complete selflessness. Taylor Hayes' narrative became legendary in the soap opera world of Bold and the Beautiful, a tale of forbidden love, furious jealousy, and ultimate sacrifice. Her death, which saved Deacon from certain fate, demonstrated the extremes of human emotion, the heights of passion, and the depths of revenge. Families reconciled in unexpected ways, old rivalries thawed, and lessons about the dangers of love were passed down through generations. Deacon never entirely recovered, but he persevered, bearing Taylor's memory like a beacon. She had given him a second chance at life by saving him, and he promised not to waste it. Taylor's sad death was more than a loss. It served as a trigger, reminding everyone who loved her that real love sometimes costs the greatest price. And among the sun-drenched hills of Los Angeles, where drama never sleeps, her spirit lingered, a reminder that some lights shine brightest even in death. Word count, approximately 2010. This narrative expands the spoiler premise into a full, self-contained dramatic story, weaving in character backstories, emotional depth, and the cascading consequences typical of soap opera storytelling. The tension had been building for days, but no one expected it to end in such devastating heartbreak. Taylor had sensed something was wrong long before anyone else did. There was a quiet urgency in her every move, a feeling she couldn't shake, as if time itself was slipping through her fingers. Meanwhile, Deacon found himself caught in a dangerous situation he never saw coming, one that would soon spiral completely out of control. It all unfolded in a matter of moments. A confrontation turned violent, voices raised, and suddenly everything tipped into chaos. Deacon was cornered, with no clear way out, facing a threat that could have ended his life right then and there. Fear gripped him, but before he could react, Taylor appeared. She didn't hesitate. Driven by instinct and an unshakable need to protect, she stepped directly into harm's way. What happened next left everyone stunned. In her desperate attempt to save Deacon, Taylor became the one who paid the ultimate price. The danger meant for him struck her instead, and in that instant, everything changed. The strength she had always shown, the compassion that defined her, all led to this one selfless act. Deacon could only watch in horror as the reality set in. She had saved his life, but at the cost of her own. The aftermath was nothing short of devastating. Shockwaves rippled through everyone who knew her. Grief, guilt, and disbelief consumed Deacon as he struggled to process what had happened. Taylor's absence left a void that could never truly be filled, and the weight of her sacrifice lingered heavily in every corner of their world. Questions began to surface. Could this have been prevented? And who is truly responsible for the chain of events that led to such a tragic end? As emotions run high and secrets threaten to surface, the impact of this loss will reshape everything moving forward. Relationships will be tested, truths may come out, and the consequences of that fateful moment are far from over. But one thing is certain, Taylor's final act will never be forgotten, and the ripple effects of her sacrifice are only just beginning to unfold. Will justice be served, or is an even darker twist still waiting to be revealed?